Hi, I'm Tracy Leslie. If you wonder why I'm standing here in a hat, my kind of Siberian sweater here, a group of us from Trinity United Methodist Church went out Christmas caroling around the community today, which was a lot of fun. This year, as we lead up to Christmas at Trinity, along with the traditional Bible stories, we're also taking a look at Charles Dickens' classic work, A Christmas Carol. This week, I preached on Scrooge's encounter with the ghost of Christmas present. The first thing the Spirit says to Scrooge is, "Look upon me." Scrooge does, and the narrator provides the description of what it is that Scrooge sees. It was clothed in one simple deep green robe or mantle, bordered with white fur. This garment hung so loosely on the figure that its capacious breast was bare, as if disdaining to be warded or concealed by any artifice. Its feet, observable beneath the ample folds of the garment, were also bare, and on its head it wore no other covering than a holly wreath, set here and there with shining icicles. Its dark brown curls were long and free as its genial face, its sparkling eye, its open hand, its cheery voice. Its unconstrained demeanor and its joyful air, girded round its middle, was an antique scabbard with no sword in it, and the ancient sheath was eaten up with rust. Lengthy and thorough though that description is, there is something incredibly important that Scrooge fails to see. Perhaps you're one of those people who can't bear to look at dreadful things. Frankly, I can't watch any time a medical person is drawing out my blood. I don't want to see that. That stuff should stay inside of me. And then there are those commercials on TV for shingles. Who wants to look at that? And of course, the worst of all are the infomercials that we get that show us abused puppies and kittens and starving children in third world countries. We don't want to see that. We'd rather not see that. But just because we don't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. Our gospel writers, Luke and Matthew, tell the story of Jesus' birth quite differently. And when it comes to Matthew's account, which you can read in chapter 2, we generally avoid the end of the story. We tell of the Magi who followed the star and worshiped Jesus and brought him rare gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. But there's a lot more to Matthew's story. You see, the Magi learn of Jesus' birth when they see this star that appears in the sky. In those days, people believed that any kind of star like this that ascended suddenly, that it signaled the birth of a great leader. So they head to Jerusalem. And when Herod hears the tale of this new ruler, this new king, he starts to shake in his shoes. This is bad news for him because there can only be one king of the Jews, and Herod is it, and he's not planning on retiring anytime soon. So, long story short, Herod decides he needs to put an end to this potential rival, and the quicker, the better. He wants the Magi to do some reconnaissance for him. He sends them to Bethlehem to find this baby and tells them to come on back and give him a full report. Really, he tells them he wants to go worship himself, but that's not at all what's going on. See, the thing is that Herod wants to track down this baby and put him to death. But usually we edit that part of the story out. We usually end the story right there at the scene with the trilogy of gifts. But here's the thing, as I've already said, just because we don't look at something, just because we don't listen to something, doesn't mean it's not there. It's still there. So what was it that Scrooge failed to see in the folds of the Spirit's robe? What was it that he missed the first time that he looked upon the ghost of Christmas present? It was two children. They were scrawny and starving and desperate, disheveled, hiding there in the folds of the Spirit's robe. We can only assume that they had been there the whole time, and yet, until after Scrooge has spent this entire night journeying with the Spirit, it's only at night's end when he notices something peeking out from the robe, thin, bony foot peeking through. And the Spirit tells him that these children belong to man. In other words, these are the children of humankind, my children, your children. And their names are ignorance and want. We do not want at Christmas time to look at anything sad or depressing or painful. We'd rather deck the halls and ice the sugar cookies. Yet all around us, there are those in need. And their stories must be told, and we should never be afraid to look upon them. After all, our gospel writer Matthew was not afraid to tell us the whole story of Jesus' birth, the good, the bad, the beautiful, and the ugly. What do you see? When you look around this Christmas season, do you see only the colored lights, the bright ribbons, the advertisements for 40% off? Or do you see those in need, the poor, the hungry, the lonely ones, the grieving? Who do you see?